Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and this does not come as any surprise to me at all. We have a federal judge who is blocking the use of unallocated and unneeded funds in one area to be used to build the border wall to help us enforce U.S. border law. And of course, we now find out that U.S. District Court Judge Haywood Gilliam, who is an Obama appointee, has donated thousands to Barack Obama personally, to the Democratic National Committee, and to another group that supports candidates from both parties. The problem we have, or that I have, is that this honestly is not a new thing. You see, Barack Obama almost never, if possibly never actually got a budget from Congress. President Trump has yet to. What they get are continuing resolutions. A continuing resolution is, in effect, a check for the total amount for all the things they say need to be done. But there's no actual itemization. Yes, they can send over itemization saying this is what we want, but it is not a budget. It is a check with here's what we'd like to see. Now, Barack Obama famously used that to do whatever he wanted. Billions to Iran? Done. Oh, we needed that money for infrastructure in the Midwest? Too bad, flyover country. But now that Donald Trump is in office, these liberal judges have decided that they are going to block anything and everything they can. This is ultimately going to be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court if it has to be, and I honestly believe that it will be overturned because all it's going to take is one attorney saying, Your Honor, on this date, and this date, and this date, and this date, and this date, Barack Obama, when he was in office as president, moved money from one project to another, and nothing was said at all. This sets the precedent that without an actual line item budget, the president has the authority to reallocate funds as needed to enforce United States law. I would really love for Haywood Gilliam to be asked, Mr. Gilliam, why is it you were silent after being appointed in 2014 when Barack Obama's administration did this? We know that it was done. And we know that a continuing resolution has no teeth as far as to enforce where that money is spent. And of course, we won't get an answer of any substance. We will get, he was told where to spend that money. He can't do this. He's racist. And I would love, honestly, for someone to ask this judge, Judge, how is it that the president is expected to enforce United States immigration law if there is no money allocated for him to do so with? Well, he's just a racist. You'll never get a solid answer. And that's because liberals have nothing to go on. They just want the president to fail. They don't want our laws enforced now that Trump is enforcing them. None of them said boo when the protest photo of a child in a cage went all over the internet under Barack Obama's time in office because Barack Obama could do no wrong. But 2017, January rolls around, President Trump is inaugurated, all of a sudden that photo comes back up. Trump is caging children. And anyone who points out that photo was taken in 2014 is ignored, blocked, muted, whatever. We have people in Congress blaming Donald Trump's administration for children who arrived so desperately ill that we can't save them, for not just opening the doors to the country wide so that this child who is so desperately sick we can't save them can get into the country further and infect people. As I've said in another video, the death of any child is tragic. But the person responsible is the adult that dragged them through hellish conditions through the entirety of Mexico with little food or water, no medical care, and so on and so forth. And then when they arrive and the child is so desperately ill nothing can be done, they blame the people who actually tried to save the child but couldn't. I'm honestly at this point waiting for just wave the wand and heal the child, and then stop being racist when we say we aren't wizards. We have people in Congress who don't understand that the Midwest is not a bunch of redneck hicks. We build cars, computers, planes, and do so much. And without us, of course, the country would starve in a matter of months. because very little food is produced outside of the flyover states. But judges don't care. Liberal congressmen don't care. They care about power. You see, ever since Robert Mueller issued his report stating there was no collusion and there is no evidence of obstruction, Democrats have been running around with like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to find a way to twist no collusion to mean collusion. They've been running around trying to find ways to block enforcement of our laws. And I can guarantee that if the Insurrection Act is enacted, they will claim the president does not have the power to do so. And they will find a judge to say the act written for the president to enact to do this is actually not available for the president to enact because we don't want him to. It's sad because we have people who supposedly were experts in the legal field, and so much so that they've been nominated and confirmed as adjudicators, as judges to sit on the federal court, who are now so openly politically biased, they are openly and quickly and loudly telling the president, you may not enforce our laws. I honestly want Donald Trump to say, I'm declaring now that no immigration law may be enforced because we do not have the money to do so, just for the Democrats in Congress to demand impeachment for not doing his job. He can then say, I'm doing my job. I don't have the money to pay people, so I'm not going to make them work for free. And when they continue crying, he can say, oh, you want the law enforced. I need this much money so I can do it. Just to get them on record saying, impeach him for not doing his job because we won't give him the money to do his job, and we're not going to give him the money, so you have to impeach him because we want to. Yes, that is actually a logical line of thought in a liberal's mind today. They don't give you what you need to do a job, and then it's your fault that you couldn't do the job. If you find what you need somewhere else that is not being used, you're not allowed to take it. Imagine being told you need to build a house, and we'll say a dog house, and you don't have a hammer or nails, you just have a pile of wood. You go to your next door neighbor and ask to borrow a hammer and some nails, and you'll pay them back for the nails later. They say yes, but your parents say, no, you're not allowed to do that. You have to build it without a hammer and nails. And then when you're physically unable to do so, you get grounded. That is an apt allegory, an apt analogy for what's going on. Congress is literally screaming, do your job, but don't do the parts of your job we don't like. But when you don't do them, we will tell you that you're wrong for not doing them. And we're not going to give you the money to do them, but it's all your fault. And somehow in their minds that's logical, that they can impede and obstruct the president in his duties, and then it's his fault that they wouldn't let him do his job. I honestly don't know what else to say on this because there's not really much more to it. We need to send a message to Congress that says you are there to make the law. Donald Trump is there to enforce the law. Current law states you may not enter our country illegally. You may not do so without our authorization. If you don't like it, pony up and change the law. But you see, none of them will. Because all of them know if they actually say on record, I want to make it legal to invade our country, they'll be out of office so fast their heads will spin. They also know that should they manage to steal the White House back, they want those laws there to selectively enforce. But we also need to remind the 535 people in Congress that we are their boss. The ones not doing their job need to be evicted from their office at the polls and replaced with someone who will do their job. And that person needs to be told, you don't do your job, you know what will happen. Very famously, I tell a story about my own cellular telephone provider. You see, back when the industry was very new, we had a carrier, I don't even remember their name, but it was one of the first models. It was actually my home phone, but I could carry it with me, and it would go cellular once it was a certain distance from the base station. Ultimately, not too long after graduating high school, my parents and my sister and I, we all signed up through my father's business with AT&T. AT&T regularly charged us incorrectly on our bill. They had no customer service. When we finally got to a manager and we said, we have our contract, we can prove you're overcharging us, we're contacting our lawyer today, they would make things right. and it would start over. We were able to get out of our contract with the help of an attorney who's a friend who showed all of this and got them to let us go. When we went to Sprint and we got the business account there, my dad was asked why he's coming to Sprint, bringing all of his business. And he told him, AT&T did us wrong, and we won't take that. We know what our plan says is how many minutes, how many texts, whatever, and we want to live by that, and we want our provider to. And we were with Sprint for close to 15 years before they started doing this the way AT&T did us. And we left them. And that's what we need to do to the 535 people in Congress. We need to tell them, you're not doing your job, so you're fired. Oh, new guy, if you don't do your job, you'll be fired. We need to do it to judges too. But we need people in Congress with a spine first. I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think in the comments. Just keep it civil. We don't learn from argument, we learn from debate. Please remember also to like and share this video, as well as to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you are the first to know of all new content as it is published. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.